What if true mastery isn't about reaching the goal, but embracing the journey? In this audiobook, uncover how the power of patience, focus, and mindfulness can transform the way you live, learn, and grow. Your path to lasting fulfillment starts now. Are you ready to practice? Introduction. Imagine this. You've just completed a big project, or you've mastered a new skill, and for a moment, there's a brief sense of accomplishment, only to realize that the rush fades quickly. The feeling of success vanishes almost as soon as it arrives. Sound familiar? This is the paradox of life that many of us unknowingly live by. We chase after goals, striving for the finish line, convinced that happiness or fulfillment is just one step away. Yet, time and time again, we find that true satisfaction doesn't lie in the destination, but in the journey itself. This is where the practicing mind comes in, an invitation to flip the script on how we approach achievement and fulfillment. What if we told you that the key to lasting happiness, mastery, and success doesn't lie in the outcome, but in how we engage with the process? It's not about reaching a final destination, but about embracing the small, seemingly insignificant moments along the way. This audiobook is about understanding that true mastery is not about perfection or reaching some arbitrary finish line. It's about becoming deeply attuned to the present moment, focusing on the process, and learning to embrace the practice itself. You might be wondering, can I really change the way I approach my life? Can mindfulness and focus truly transform my experience? The answer is an emphatic yes. And this audiobook will show you how. You've probably felt it. The rush of setting a goal, the adrenaline of pursuing it, and the intense focus you give in an attempt to cross the finish line. But have you ever noticed how the sense of fulfillment is short-lived, almost fleeting? As soon as you achieve what you set out to do, the satisfaction fades, and you find yourself setting a new goal, eager to start the cycle again. It's a never-ending loop. The real truth is, the more you chase the end goal, the more elusive it becomes. The harder you chase, the more dissatisfied you may feel, as the illusion of perfection constantly moves just beyond your grasp. But what if I told you that the secret to lasting happiness and true mastery is not about the goal at all? What if the key to fulfillment lies in the process itself, the practice? The journey is where growth, transformation, and real joy reside. By shifting our focus from the goal to the practice, we open the door to a world where every moment counts and every step we take becomes an opportunity for growth, mastery, and joy. It's about giving ourselves permission to enjoy the act of doing rather than fixating on the result. In this audiobook, we will explore the paradox that life presents us, our tendency to fixate on the future at the expense of the present. We are often so consumed by what we don't have yet that we forget to appreciate the power of the present moment. True mastery and satisfaction are not about reaching some mythical endpoint, but about developing the ability to be fully present, to engage wholeheartedly in whatever task is in front of us, and to savor the learning and growth that each moment provides. The practicing mind will show you how to break free from this cycle and experience true transformation. The mindful approach. At the heart of the practicing mind lies a simple but powerful truth. Mindfulness is not just a trendy buzzword. It is the key to unlocking the potential that resides within us. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present, to observe without judgment, and to accept where we are on our journey. It's not about pushing harder, trying harder, or forcing outcomes. It's about being open to the experience, accepting where we are, and engaging in the process without distraction or self-criticism. When we adopt a mindful approach to practice, we shift from a mindset of scarcity and impatience to one of abundance and acceptance. Mindfulness helps us become aware of our thoughts, emotions, and habits, giving us the tools to manage our reactions and stay focused on the task at hand. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to engage deeply with whatever we're doing, whether it's writing a report, cooking a meal, or even washing dishes. Every task becomes an opportunity to practice presence, patience, and focus. In the chapters ahead, we will explore how you can integrate mindfulness into every aspect of your life, from work to relationships, from personal growth to self-care. We will dive deep into the art of focus, the power of patience, and the transformative benefits of being present in each moment. You'll discover how a simple shift in mindset can create profound changes in the way you live, learn, and grow. Overview of the journey ahead. What you will learn. Now that you've glimpsed the profound power of the practicing mind, let me give you a roadmap of the transformative journey we're about to take together. Each chapter will introduce you to essential tools and techniques that will help you build a sustainable practice, one that empowers you to unlock your full potential and live a more fulfilling life. We'll begin by diving deep into the concept of patience. Most of us want results quickly, yesterday in fact. But true growth takes time. We'll explore how cultivating patience can be your greatest asset on the path to mastery. You'll learn how to stop rushing through life and instead embrace the gradual, steady unfolding of your skills and abilities. Next, we'll explore focus, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. We live in a world filled with distractions, where our attention is constantly pulled in a million different directions. But when you learn to focus, to truly commit your attention to the present moment, you unlock a level of clarity and productivity that most people never experience. This chapter will show you how to harness the power of focus and use it to create transformative results. The third key concept we'll explore is mindfulness. By the end of this audiobook, you'll have a deeper understanding of how mindfulness can be integrated into every area of your life, allowing you to stay centered, calm, and purposeful, even in the midst of chaos. Finally, we'll tie everything together with the art of being present. This is where the magic happens. It's about learning to fully immerse yourself in whatever you're doing, whether it's a small task or a large project. By cultivating the art of being present, you'll discover that success and fulfillment aren't about reaching an endpoint. They're about being fully engaged in the process of becoming the best version of yourself. The Practicing Mind is not just a book. It's an invitation to change your life from the inside out. It's about stopping the endless cycle of striving for more and finally embracing the profound power of the present moment. Through patience, focus, mindfulness, and the art of being present, you'll unlock the true secret to mastery. And it's simpler than you ever imagined. So, are you ready to begin? Let's start the journey to mastering the art of practice and let the transformation unfold. Chapter 1. Introduction to the Practicing Mind. Understanding the concept of a practicing mind. In today's fast-paced world, we are often drawn into the belief that success comes swiftly. We live in an age where instant gratification is the norm, and the expectations of the world around us reinforce this mentality. The moment we want something, we expect it almost immediately, whether it's a piece of information, a conversation, or even a product. Our minds are conditioned to pursue shortcuts and immediate results, and when things don't happen as quickly as we expect, frustration sets in. The idea of practicing something doesn't seem to fit this mold. Practice, after all, requires time, patience, and effort, things that aren't always in high demand in a world obsessed with speed. However, the concept of the practicing mind stands in stark contrast to this modern reality. It invites us to step back and reconsider our approach to progress, success, and personal growth. A practicing mind, at its core, is about slowing down and focusing on the journey, rather than obsessing over the end result. It's a mindset that encourages us to engage fully with the process, no matter how long it may take. Instead of viewing practice as a necessary step toward achieving an outcome, we learn to see it as the reward itself. It's in the doing, the effort, and the consistent engagement with the task at hand that we truly grow and develop, not just in skill, but in character. The practicing mind asks us to shift our focus from a destination-oriented mindset to one that cherishes the process, seeing value in each step we take, each lesson we learn, and each improvement we make. This shift can be difficult, especially when we're so conditioned to prioritize results. Our culture, from social media to advertising, constantly reinforces the idea that success is quick and visible, and that anything less than immediate satisfaction is a waste of time. But what if we were to challenge this paradigm? What if we were to approach our goals not as a means to an end, but as a continual process of growth and refinement? This is the essence of the practicing mind. By focusing on the practice itself, we are not only improving our skills, but also developing patience, resilience, and mindfulness. These qualities, often overlooked in the rush for results, are the very foundation of lasting success and true fulfillment. The practicing mind encourages us to release the need for instant perfection. When we embrace this mindset, we begin to understand that it's okay to make mistakes, to falter, and to learn through trial and error. In fact, these missteps are a necessary part of the process. Every mistake we make teaches us something valuable, refining our abilities and making us better, more skilled versions of ourselves. The practicing mind shifts our perspective so that we no longer see failure as something to be avoided, but rather as an integral part of the learning journey. This kind of thinking creates an environment where growth is inevitable, because we are not attached to perfection. We are attached to the process of improvement. The power of focusing on the process. One of the most powerful aspects of the practicing mind is its focus on the process rather than the outcome. We live in a world that is obsessed with results, often measuring success solely by the end product. Whether it's finishing a project, winning a race, or getting a promotion, the emphasis is often placed on the destination, not the path that leads to it. But in focusing solely on the outcome, we miss out on the richness of the experience that the journey offers. By placing too much importance on what we will get from our efforts, we risk neglecting the intrinsic rewards that come from simply engaging in the process itself. The practicing mind teaches us to appreciate the incremental progress we make, no matter how small. When we embrace the journey, we become more attuned to the present moment. This mindfulness allows us to be fully immersed in what we're doing, whether it's learning a new skill, working through a difficult task, or simply engaging in everyday activities. We stop rushing to the finish line and start savoring each step, understanding that true growth happens in the process itself. When we focus on the process, we are less likely to be overwhelmed by the pressure of achieving perfection and more likely to remain patient, persistent, and present. This shift in focus creates a sense of ease, allowing us to enjoy our efforts, knowing that progress is happening whether we see it or not. In addition, focusing on the process rather than the result encourages a mindset of continuous learning. When we are not fixated on the outcome, we are free to explore, experiment, and make adjustments along the way. We become more adaptable, more open to feedback, and more willing to try new approaches without the fear of failure. This mindset of exploration is essential for long-term success because it allows us to keep growing even when we encounter obstacles. It's through this ongoing process of practice, trial, and refinement that we achieve mastery in any area of life. And while the outcomes will inevitably come, they are no longer the focal point. They are simply the byproducts of a committed process-oriented approach to growth. Cultivating patience and consistency in practice. The practicing mind is also deeply rooted in the virtues of patience and consistency. These qualities are not often celebrated in a society that values speed and immediate results, but they are essential for lasting success. The practicing mind teaches us that mastery takes time, and it's through consistent, focused effort over the long term that we build skill and competence. It's easy to become disheartened when progress feels slow, but patience allows us to trust the process and keep going, even when the results aren't immediately visible. Consistency, too, is a cornerstone of the practicing mind. It's not about working tirelessly for a few days and then taking a long break. Instead, it's about showing up every day, even when it feels tedious or when results seem out of reach. It's about committing to the process, even on days when motivation wanes. When we practice consistently, we build momentum, and that momentum propels us forward. Even on the days when we don't feel like it, this kind of commitment leads to steady, sustainable growth as each practice session compounds on the last. Small, consistent efforts build over time, and before we know it, we find ourselves much further along than we ever imagined. The beauty of consistency is that it removes the pressure to be perfect. When we commit to showing up regularly, we no longer need to be perfect in every moment. We simply need to keep moving forward, one step at a time. This mindset allows us to embrace the process, knowing that every small effort contributes to our larger goal. It teaches us that progress is often not linear. It's a series of peaks and valleys, and the key is to keep going, no matter how slow or uneven the progress may seem. Patience and consistency, when combined, create a powerful foundation for mastery and success. In conclusion, the practicing mind is a transformative way of approaching life. It's about shifting our focus from results to process, from perfection to progress, and from speed to patience. By embracing the journey, we unlock a deeper, more meaningful experience of growth and success. We learn to savor the process, to enjoy the small wins, and to remain persistent, even in the face of challenges. The practicing mind teaches us that success is not a destination. It's a way of being, a mindset that we carry with us in everything we do. And when we approach life with this mindset, we begin to see that every moment is an opportunity for growth. Every effort, an opportunity for learning, and every step, an opportunity for mastery. The journey itself becomes the destination, and in that journey, we find fulfillment, purpose, and the true power of practice. Chapter 2. The Power of Focus and Awareness. The Role of Focus in Practice. In our ever-connected world, one of the most challenging aspects of maintaining a practicing mind is the ability to focus. We are constantly bombarded with distractions, texts, emails, social media notifications, phone calls, and the sheer pace of modern life. These interruptions pull our attention in multiple directions, fragmenting our thoughts and breaking our concentration. Yet, to develop a truly focused and effective practicing mind, we must first cultivate the skill of concentration. Focus, in many ways, is the gateway through which the power of practice flows. Without it, the process becomes diluted, the effort less meaningful, and the results less impressive. But with focus, we can dive deep into any task, honing our skills, improving our performance, and embracing the full depth of the journey we are on. The true power of focus lies not in a singular, intense burst of concentration, but in the ability to maintain that focus over time. It's easy to give something your full attention for a short period, but the real challenge arises when we are asked to sustain that focus over the long term. Whether it's a project that spans several months, a habit we are trying to build, or a skill we are trying to master, maintaining focus through the ups and downs of the process is what separates the serious practitioner from the casual observer. Focus allows us to direct our mental energy toward what matters, blocking out distractions and enabling us to immerse ourselves fully in the task at hand. Without focus, we are scattered, our efforts diluted, and our results inconsistent. With focus, we become like a laser beam, sharp and precise, channeling our energy into the present moment with full awareness and intention. One of the key aspects of focus is intentionality. When we approach a task or practice session, we must first ask ourselves why we are doing it. What is our purpose? What do we hope to achieve? Not just in terms of the end result, but in the process itself. By clarifying our intentions, we give ourselves a roadmap for our focus. Intentionality gives us a reason to remain committed, even when the going gets tough or when distractions arise. It allows us to tune out the noise of the world around us and to concentrate our efforts on what truly matters. This sense of purpose is not only motivational, but also provides clarity, making the practice feel more meaningful and connected to our larger goals. When we understand why we're doing something, we become more invested in the process, and that investment leads to greater focus and deeper results. How distractions affect our mind. Distractions are the enemy of focus, and in today's world, they seem to be everywhere. We are constantly pulled in different directions, both internally and externally. Internally, our minds are often filled with racing thoughts, worries about the future or the past. Externally, our environment is filled with constant interruptions, social media notifications, emails, phone calls, and the general hustle and bustle of life. These distractions have a significant impact on our ability to concentrate and engage in the practice at hand. The more distracted we are, the less effective our practice becomes. This is where the true challenge lies. If we are unable to eliminate or manage distractions, the quality of our focus diminishes, and our ability to improve or achieve our goals is hampered. Distractions don't just take us away from the task at hand, they also scatter our mental energy. Every time we shift our focus from one thing to another, our minds have to reset, recalibrate, and redirect. This constant switching not only exhausts us mentally, but also makes it harder to return to a state of flow and concentration. The more we jump between tasks or allow distractions to pull our attention, the more fragmented and less productive we become. Our brain's ability to process information efficiently declines, and we lose the depth of engagement that is necessary for true learning or mastery. As a result, we may find ourselves feeling overwhelmed, unproductive, and frustrated, feeling as though we've accomplished little, even though we've spent the day running from one task to another. The solution to this challenge is not necessarily to eliminate distractions altogether. After all, we live in a world that demands multitasking and fast-paced action. Instead, it's about learning to manage distractions effectively. This involves creating an environment that supports focus, cultivating habits that reduce internal distractions, and developing the mental discipline to refocus when our attention wanders. It's about recognizing when distractions arise, accepting them without judgment, and then returning to the practice with renewed attention. This ability to return to focus is a key skill that will make all the difference in your progress, because even when distractions are inevitable, your ability to control your attention is what ultimately determines your success. Cultivating present moment awareness. The next key aspect of focus is present moment awareness. Being fully present in the moment is perhaps one of the most powerful practices we can adopt in our daily lives, and it is essential for the practicing mind. When we engage fully in the present moment, we allow ourselves to immerse in the task without being distracted by thoughts about the past or worries about the future. This state of mindfulness enhances focus, enabling us to give our full attention to the task at hand and to experience it in its entirety. Whether you're learning a new skill, practicing a sport, or simply engaging in a conversation, present moment awareness helps us stay deeply connected to what we're doing, rather than becoming distracted or disengaged. Present moment awareness is more than just focusing on the here and now. It's about accepting the moment as it is, without judgment. Often, when we practice, we get caught up in evaluating our performance. We become fixated on whether we're doing well or poorly, whether we're progressing fast enough, or whether we're meeting our own expectations. This constant self-judgment disrupts our ability to focus, pulling us out of the present moment and into our own internal critique. To truly cultivate present moment awareness, we must let go of these judgments and simply be with the experience as it unfolds. This doesn't mean we ignore mistakes or avoid self-reflection. It simply means that we allow ourselves to engage in the process without the weight of judgment, allowing our focus to deepen and our practice to flourish. One powerful way to cultivate present moment awareness is through mindfulness meditation. By regularly practicing mindfulness, we can train our brains to stay focused on the present moment, regardless of the distractions or mental clutter that arises. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without becoming entangled in them. Over time, this ability to observe without judgment translates into every area of our lives, including our practice. We become less attached to outcomes and more attuned to the process. We develop a deeper sense of appreciation for the task at hand, and this appreciation enhances our ability to focus, making our practice more rewarding and effective. The power of focus and awareness cannot be overstated in the journey toward mastery and personal growth. By cultivating the ability to focus and developing present moment awareness, we significantly improve the quality of our practice. Distractions, both internal and external, will always be a challenge, but by learning to manage them, we can maintain a steady, focused approach to our goals. The practicing mind requires us to commit fully to the process, to be present with every step, and to embrace the journey as it unfolds. With practice, focus becomes second nature, and awareness becomes a constant companion, guiding us through the ups and downs of our path to success. Through focused effort and a mindful presence, we unlock the potential for transformation, not just in our skills, but in our lives. Chapter 3. Embracing the process of learning, the journey from novice to mastery. Every expert was once a beginner. It's a simple yet profound truth that we often forget in the pursuit of immediate results. When we look at someone who has achieved mastery in a particular field, whether it's a musician, athlete, artist, or even a successful entrepreneur, it's easy to overlook the countless hours of practice, the small steps, and the setbacks they faced in their journey. Mastery doesn't come overnight. It's the result of consistent, focused effort, trial and error, learning from mistakes, and constantly striving to improve. The process of learning is not linear, and it's easy to become frustrated when progress seems slow. But the key to success in any endeavor lies in embracing the learning process itself, accepting that mastery is built incrementally, one step at a time. This shift in perspective transforms how we approach challenges and setbacks. Instead of seeing them as obstacles or failures, we begin to see them as essential parts of our growth. The journey from novice to expert is a path filled with discomfort and uncertainty. In the beginning, we often feel awkward, clumsy, or frustrated with our lack of skill. Every small task can feel like an insurmountable challenge, and the progress we make seems infinitesimally small. This early phase of learning is one of the most difficult and discouraging times, but it is also where the most significant growth happens. When we embrace the learning process, we develop the resilience and patience necessary to persevere through these challenges. It's important to recognize that in the beginning, it's okay to be imperfect. It's normal to feel like we are fumbling through our attempts, but these moments are foundational. They lay the groundwork for the deep understanding and skill that will come later. Over time, as we continue to practice, we begin to see improvements, no matter how gradual. These small improvements are the building blocks of mastery. They provide the motivation to keep going, even when the process feels slow. What is crucial during this phase of learning is to remain committed, often we judge our progress too harshly, expecting results to come faster than they naturally will. However, the key to real mastery is not in rushing through the stages of learning, but in allowing ourselves to fully experience each stage. We need to give ourselves permission to be beginners, to make mistakes, and to learn at our own pace. The process of learning itself becomes a rewarding and transformative experience, one that builds our skill set while simultaneously cultivating resilience, patience, and perseverance. It's through this journey, with all its ups and downs, that we truly learn, not just the task at hand, but valuable life lessons about discipline, commitment, and the importance of long-term effort. The importance of patience in the learning process. One of the greatest virtues required in the practice of learning is patience. In a world where immediate gratification has become the norm, patience can feel like an outdated concept. We want to see results quickly. We want to progress faster, achieve more, and reach our goals sooner. The instant access to information, entertainment, and services in today's world has conditioned us to expect that everything should come quickly. But learning, particularly the kind of deep, meaningful learning that leads to true mastery, is anything but instant. It takes time, effort, and persistence. Patience is essential because it allows us to endure the slow, sometimes tedious, and often uncomfortable process of improvement. Without patience, we are prone to frustration, giving up too soon, or moving on to something else before we have had the chance to really commit to the learning process. When we approach learning with impatience, we are often more focused on the result than the process. We become attached to the end goal and overlook the essential steps and incremental improvements that make the journey worthwhile. In this rush to achieve, we may miss out on valuable lessons, fail to correct mistakes, or become discouraged when things don't come as quickly as we expect. Patience, on the other hand, teaches us to value the small moments of progress, to celebrate the victories that come with each step, no matter how minor they may seem. It reminds us that each stage of learning, each trial, each error, and each correction is important. True mastery is built on this foundation of patience and steady, deliberate practice. Patience also allows us to embrace the inevitable setbacks and challenges that arise during the learning process. No one's path to success is without obstacles. Whether it's hitting a plateau, facing criticism, or struggling with a particularly difficult aspect of a task, setbacks are part of the journey. Patience enables us to navigate these challenges without giving up. It teaches us that failure is not the end, but rather a stepping stone to greater understanding and skill. Every mistake, every moment of difficulty, is an opportunity to learn and grow. Patience, when combined with persistence, transforms challenges into opportunities for improvement. It's through this patient perseverance that we develop the grit necessary to push through the difficult times and emerge stronger, more skilled, and more confident in our abilities. Creating a structured approach to practice. The practice of learning is not just about putting in time or working hard. It's also about being smart with our efforts. A key aspect of efficient learning is creating a structured approach to practice. Without structure, practice can become aimless, inefficient, and frustrating. When we're learning something new, it's easy to fall into the trap of simply repeating the same actions over and over again, hoping for improvement. But improvement doesn't come from mindless repetition. It comes from focused, deliberate practice that targets specific areas of weakness and systematically builds on what we already know. Creating a structured approach to practice involves setting clear goals, breaking down complex tasks into smaller, manageable steps, and tracking our progress over time. This structured approach helps us stay organized, stay motivated, and maintain a clear sense of direction, even when the journey feels long. A well-structured approach also helps us stay focused on the right areas. In any learning process, there are always aspects that are more challenging or require more attention. By identifying these areas and giving them the time and attention they need, we can make faster progress and avoid wasting time on tasks that don't contribute as much to our overall goal. A structured approach also helps us prioritize. By breaking down our larger goals into smaller, actionable steps, we can focus on one thing at a time, ensuring that each step builds on the last. This method of incremental improvement is essential for long-term success, as it allows us to make continuous progress while avoiding overwhelm or burnout. Another important element of a structured approach is feedback. As we practice, we must constantly evaluate our progress and adjust our methods as needed. This feedback loop allows us to refine our techniques, correct mistakes, and continue improving. Sometimes, this feedback comes from external sources such as teachers, mentors, or colleagues. Other times, it comes from within ourselves as we reflect on our practice and identify areas where we can do better. The key is to view feedback as a tool for growth rather than criticism. Feedback, when taken constructively, is one of the most powerful drivers of improvement. It helps us stay on track, ensures that we are practicing effectively, and guides us toward mastery. By combining structured practice with regular feedback, we create a system that promotes continuous improvement and sustained growth over time. The process of learning, while often slow and filled with challenges, is the foundation upon which mastery is built. By embracing the journey from novice to expert, we develop not only our skills, but also our patience, resilience, and ability to persevere. Mastery doesn't come overnight, but through consistent, focused effort over time. Patience is the key to this process, allowing us to endure the inevitable setbacks and difficulties without losing sight of our goals. By creating a structured approach to practice, we make our efforts more efficient and effective, ensuring that each step of the process contributes to our growth. The road to mastery is long, but with the right mindset and approach, it's a rewarding journey, one that brings us not only closer to our goals, but also to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Through the process of learning, we not only improve in skill, but also in character, gaining the strength and wisdom necessary to face life's challenges and embrace the power of practice. Chapter 4: Overcoming Resistance and Embracing Consistency. The nature of resistance in practice. As we embark on the journey of learning and growth, one of the most insidious challenges we face is resistance. Resistance is a natural force, both within and outside of us, that arises whenever we attempt to push past our comfort zones. It manifests in many forms, whether it's procrastination, self-doubt, fear of failure, or simply the overwhelming feeling of being stuck. Resistance often appears when we are on the verge of significant change or progress, and it can make even the most motivated individual feel as though they're fighting against a brick wall. The more important the goal, the more likely resistance will appear to impede our progress. Understanding the nature of resistance and learning how to deal with it is one of the most crucial steps in cultivating a practicing mind. This understanding can transform the way we perceive obstacles and, more importantly, the way we approach them. Resistance often presents itself as an emotional or mental block, making it seem like the task at hand is insurmountable. We may feel overwhelmed, uninspired, or unable to take the first step. At its core, resistance is a form of self-protection. It's our mind's way of keeping us within the familiar, the comfortable, and the known. Stepping into the unknown, whether it's trying to develop a new skill, take on a new challenge, or push past a plateau, creates discomfort. Resistance thrives in this discomfort. It's like an inner voice that convinces us that we are not capable, or that it's easier to put things off until later. But the more we give in to resistance, the more ingrained it becomes in our habits and mindset. Resistance doesn't go away on its own. We have to actively confront it. The key to overcoming resistance is not to fight it head on, but to acknowledge it and make a conscious choice to push through despite it. What is essential to recognize about resistance is that it's not inherently bad or something to be feared. In fact, it can be a powerful signal that we are on the cusp of growth. Resistance often arises when we are pushing the boundaries of our current self, attempting to evolve and grow in ways we haven't before. When we encounter resistance, it means that we are likely doing something that matters, something that will require effort and perseverance. Resistance is the signpost of change, urging us to lean into the discomfort, not shy away from it. Instead of seeing resistance as an enemy, we should see it as a natural part of the growth process, a challenge to be faced, not avoided. In many ways, the most significant breakthroughs come after we push through the resistance. By building the mental strength to move forward despite it, we not only achieve the success we desire, but also develop resilience and perseverance that will serve us throughout our lives. The importance of consistency in practice. While resistance is a force that seeks to halt our progress, consistency is the antidote that allows us to move forward. Consistency is the key to any long-term endeavor, whether it's learning a new skill, building a habit, or achieving a personal goal. It's easy to feel motivated and energized at the start of a new challenge, but maintaining that energy over the long haul is what determines success. Consistency is about showing up day after day, even when motivation wanes or when distractions arise. It's about committing to the process, regardless of how we feel in the moment, and continuing to move forward one small step at a time. The difference between success and failure in many pursuits comes down to this simple principle. Consistency is what makes the seemingly impossible achievable. The power of consistency lies in its ability to compound over time. It's the idea that small incremental actions, when repeated regularly, lead to significant results. This concept is often referred to as the aggregation of marginal gains, meaning that every tiny improvement, no matter how small, adds up over time to create a substantial change. Whether it's practicing a musical instrument, writing a book, exercising, or learning a new language, the daily effort may seem insignificant in the moment. However, when compounded over weeks, months, or years, the results can be profound. The key is not to get discouraged by the small progress, but to trust in the process. Consistency is a habit that builds momentum. The more consistent you are, the easier it becomes to continue. What started as an effort might eventually turn into a routine, and before you know it, you're achieving things you once thought were impossible. The challenge of consistency is that it often requires patience and a willingness to embrace the slow, steady pace of progress. In a world that values instant gratification, it can be difficult to stay committed to the long-term process when the results are not immediately visible. But it's precisely this patience and long-term vision that differentiate those who succeed from those who give up too soon. Consistency demands discipline, but it also requires flexibility. Life has its ups and downs, and there will be days when we fall short or when external circumstances make it difficult to stick to our commitments. The goal is not to achieve perfection every day, but to return to the practice after every setback, no matter how small the effort may be. By consistently showing up and making incremental progress, we build the muscle of perseverance, which ultimately leads to mastery. Consistency is the bridge that takes us from where we are to where we want to be, one steady step at a time. Building habits that support consistency. One of the most powerful ways to ensure consistency is through the creation of habits. Habits are the small, unconscious actions that shape our daily lives. They are the glue that holds our routines together and make it easier for us to engage in the practices we want to develop. When we form positive habits, we don't have to rely on willpower or motivation to show up consistently. The habit itself drives us forward. Habits allow us to perform tasks automatically, reducing the mental effort required to get started. The more ingrained a habit becomes, the less effort it takes to maintain it. In this sense, Habits are the key to consistency because they make our desired actions effortless. Instead of relying on fleeting bursts of motivation or willpower, we create a system of behaviors that automatically align with our goals. The process of building habits, however, is not always easy. It requires time, repetition, and conscious effort to replace old behaviors with new ones. This process begins with identifying the small, manageable actions that align with our larger goals and repeating them consistently. It's crucial to start small. Trying to make drastic changes all at once can lead to burnout and frustration. For example, if your goal is to develop a consistent exercise routine, it's better to start with small, easy-to-achieve workouts and gradually increase the intensity over time. Once these small actions become habitual, they provide the foundation for more significant changes. Over time, these habits stack on top of one another, creating a ripple effect that brings about transformation in other areas of life as well. One important aspect of habit building is creating a supportive environment. Our environment plays a significant role in shaping our behavior, often in ways we don't consciously realize. If we want to make consistency easier, we need to surround ourselves with cues that encourage the habits we want to form. For example, if we want to develop a consistent writing habit, we could set up a quiet, distraction-free space with all the materials we need easily accessible. If we want to practice mindfulness, we might place reminders throughout our home to prompt us to pause and take a deep breath. By designing an environment that supports our goals, we make it easier to maintain consistency and reduce the mental effort required to engage in the desired behaviors. Ultimately, habits are the key to long-term success because they automate the process of consistent practice, making the journey toward mastery feel more seamless and effortless. Overcoming resistance and embracing consistency are two of the most powerful principles for success in any area of life. Resistance, while challenging, is a natural part of the growth process, signaling that we are on the verge of something significant. By acknowledging and pushing through resistance, we create opportunities for growth and transformation. Consistency is the antidote to resistance, allowing us to continue moving forward despite setbacks, distractions, or discomfort. The secret to achieving long-term success lies in the ability to show up every day even when progress seems slow or invisible. And through the power of habits, we make consistency effortless, building the foundation for sustained success. By combining these principles, we unlock the full potential of the practicing mind, moving steadily toward our goals with unwavering determination and focus. Chapter 5: Cultivating Patience in the Face of Setbacks. Understanding the role of setbacks in growth. In any journey towards mastery, setbacks are not merely a possibility, they are an inevitability. Whether we are learning a new skill, striving to meet a personal goal, or attempting to transform our lives in some way, setbacks will appear, and they often seem to strike at the most inconvenient times. Setbacks, however, should not be viewed as failures or signs of defeat. Rather, they are an integral part of the growth process, often offering lessons and insights that can be pivotal in our development. The key to navigating setbacks is understanding their role in our journey and developing the mental fortitude to push through them. It's easy to become discouraged when things don't go as planned, when progress stalls, or when obstacles arise. But if we can shift our mindset and see setbacks as opportunities to learn, we will be better equipped to move forward with resilience and determination. A common mistake people make when facing setbacks is to take them personally. When something goes wrong, we may begin to question our abilities, our worth, or whether we're cut out for the task at all. This negative self-talk is incredibly damaging, as it clouds our judgment and hampers our ability to learn from the experience. Instead of blaming ourselves or seeing setbacks as evidence that we're failing, it's important to reframe our thinking. Setbacks, in reality, are often the universe's way of teaching us something we haven't yet mastered. They provide us with feedback, highlighting areas that need improvement, adjustments that need to be made, or skills that need to be honed. The more we can embrace setbacks as valuable learning experiences, the less power they have over us. Every setback is a moment to recalibrate, to assess, and to find a new way forward. It's through these moments of difficulty that we develop the skills, character, and mindset needed for long-term success. Setbacks are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones. Another key aspect of dealing with setbacks is the understanding that the path to success is rarely a straight line. There will always be twists, turns, and unexpected challenges along the way. The most successful people are not those who avoid setbacks, but those who learn to navigate them effectively. They develop the ability to bounce back, to adapt, and to stay focused on their long-term goals. Setbacks provide the necessary tension for growth. Without them, we would not have the opportunity to refine our techniques, reassess our methods, or even build the resilience needed to face future challenges. The process of learning and improving is not linear. It is cyclical, involving phases of progress, setback, reflection, and adjustment. Each setback we encounter is simply a temporary pause in the broader trajectory of our growth, one that ultimately serves to propel us forward. When we view setbacks in this light, we are able to maintain a sense of optimism and determination, knowing that they are merely part of the larger process. The importance of resilience in overcoming challenges. Resilience is the quality that enables us to bounce back from setbacks, to endure adversity, and to continue pursuing our goals in the face of difficulty. It is one of the most valuable traits a person can cultivate, and it is often the determining factor between those who succeed and those who give up. Resilience isn't just about enduring hardship, it's about how we respond to it. When faced with a setback, resilient individuals do not wallow in self-pity or succumb to frustration. Instead, they find ways to adapt, to recalibrate their approach, and to keep moving forward. Resilience is a mindset, and like any mindset, it can be cultivated with practice. In many ways, it is the practicing mind that allows us to develop resilience, as it teaches us to persist in the face of adversity, to keep putting in the work, and to trust the process even when the road seems long and difficult. The foundation of resilience lies in a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities are not fixed, but can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. When we approach setbacks with a growth mindset, we view them as temporary obstacles that can be overcome with the right effort and strategy. We do not see them as indications of our limitations, but rather as opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. This mindset is crucial because it allows us to stay focused on improvement, rather than becoming discouraged by the challenges we face. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, but about developing the ability to persevere despite it. The more we practice this mindset, the more resilient we become. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. Each time we push through a setback, we strengthen our resilience, making it easier to face future challenges. Building resilience also requires us to develop emotional regulation, the ability to manage our emotions in a way that allows us to stay focused and calm under pressure. Setbacks can trigger strong emotional reactions, frustration, anger, disappointment, or even fear. These emotions can cloud our judgment and make it difficult to think clearly or take constructive action. Resilient individuals have learned to recognize and manage these emotions, allowing them to stay grounded and maintain a sense of control in difficult situations. Emotional regulation is a skill that can be developed through mindfulness practices, self-reflection, and self-compassion. By cultivating emotional resilience, we are better able to navigate setbacks with a clear mind, making it easier to find solutions and keep moving forward. Resilience is not a fixed trait. It is a skill that can be built and strengthened over time through consistent effort and practice. Patience and persistence. the power of long-term commitment. While resilience is essential for overcoming setbacks, it's not the only quality that contributes to long-term success. The ability to persist, to continue putting in the work even when the results are not immediately apparent, is equally important. Persistence is the key to turning small incremental improvements into lasting success. When we face setbacks, it's easy to become discouraged and lose sight of the long-term vision. The gap between where we are and where we want to be may seem vast, and the progress we've made may seem insignificant. But persistence is the quality that allows us to continue even when the going gets tough, to keep going even when the results don't come as quickly as we'd like. Persistence is the ability to endure through the process, trusting that the work we put in today will pay off in the future. Patience and persistence go hand in hand. Patience allows us to accept that progress takes time, while persistence keeps us moving forward even when the results are slow in coming. It's easy to get frustrated when we don't see immediate progress, but the reality is that mastery and success take time. Great things are rarely achieved overnight. It's the consistent, patient effort that leads to lasting results. When we combine patience with persistence, we are able to stay committed to our goals, no matter how long the journey takes. The process becomes less about instant gratification and more about the satisfaction of knowing that each day's effort brings us closer to where we want to be. Persistence teaches us to trust the process, to keep showing up even when the rewards aren't immediately visible, and to recognize that every step forward is progress, no matter how small. Building a mindset of patience and persistence is one of the most powerful ways to ensure long-term success. It requires us to make a commitment, not just to the goal we are working towards, but to the process itself. We must learn to enjoy the journey, not just the destination. The road to success is rarely smooth, and it is filled with detours, setbacks, and obstacles. But it's these challenges that provide the greatest opportunities for growth. By committing to the process with patience and persistence, we create a foundation for success that is built on a solid work ethic, a commitment to improvement, and an unwavering belief in our ability to overcome obstacles. Patience and persistence are the qualities that allow us to weather the inevitable storms and continue moving forward with confidence and determination. Setbacks, resilience, patience, and persistence are all intertwined aspects of the journey toward mastery. Setbacks, though difficult, are not barriers to success, but integral parts of the learning process. They offer valuable lessons and insights, and it's through overcoming them that we develop the resilience necessary for long-term success. Resilience allows us to bounce back from setbacks with determination and adaptability, while patience helps us stay the course, even when the journey feels long and challenging. Persistence, in turn, keeps us moving forward day after day toward our ultimate goal. When combined, these qualities create a powerful mindset that not only allows us to navigate setbacks, but to emerge from them stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. The path to mastery is not without its challenges, but by cultivating resilience, patience, and persistence, we can continue on the journey with confidence, knowing that each step forward is progress. Chapter 6: Mastering Focus and Deep Work. The importance of focus in achieving mastery. In today's world, distraction has become one of the most formidable obstacles to achieving meaningful work and progress. With endless notifications, constant access to social media, and the pressure to multitask, it has become increasingly difficult to stay focused on the task at hand. Yet, focus is one of the most critical elements of mastery in any field. Without it, no amount of effort or practice can lead to the level of success we desire. Focus is the key to deep work, the state in which our concentration is so intense and undivided that we are able to produce our best work. It's the ability to shut out the noise of the world, to tune out distractions, and to immerse ourselves fully in the task at hand. Focus is not something that can be taken for granted. It requires intentionality, practice, and the cultivation of a mindset that values depth over breadth. The importance of focus lies in its ability to direct our energy and attention toward one thing at a time. In our modern world, we are often encouraged to juggle multiple tasks at once, to multitask and spread ourselves thin. While this may seem efficient, the truth is that multitasking leads to diminished quality of work, as our attention is divided and our brain is forced to constantly switch between tasks. When we focus on one task at a time, we allow ourselves to enter a state of flow, where time seems to disappear and our efforts feel effortless. In this state, we are able to access our highest levels of creativity and productivity, creating work that is not only effective, but also deeply fulfilling. Focus is the gateway to deep work, and it is through cultivating this ability to concentrate on a single task that we unlock our full potential. The challenge, however, is that focus does not come easily, especially in an age of constant distractions. It takes deliberate effort to train our minds to focus on one task for an extended period of time. This is where the practice of deep work becomes essential. Deep work refers to the deliberate and focused effort to engage in cognitively demanding tasks without interruption. It's about entering a state of undistracted concentration that allows us to perform at our highest level. The benefits of deep work are immense. It allows us to achieve greater levels of productivity, creativity, and innovation. When we focus deeply on a task, we are not only able to complete it more efficiently, but we are also able to elevate the quality of the work itself. Focus enables us to push beyond the surface level and dive into the depths of our potential, creating work that is truly exceptional. Cultivating deep work habits. The key to mastering focus and engaging in deep work is cultivating habits that support uninterrupted, undistracted practice. In the same way that building muscle requires consistent effort, developing the ability to focus deeply requires regular practice and intention. One of the first steps in cultivating deep work is eliminating distractions. This means creating an environment that is conducive to concentration and making a conscious effort to reduce the temptations that might pull our attention away. For many people, this might mean turning off notifications on their phones, setting boundaries around email usage, or creating a designated space for focused work. The physical environment plays a significant role in our ability to focus, so it's important to remove anything that might distract us from the task at hand. A cluttered workspace, for example, can lead to a cluttered mind, making it more difficult to focus on the work. Another important aspect of cultivating deep work is setting clear goals and intentions for each session. When we approach our work without a clear sense of purpose, it's easy to get lost in the weeds or become overwhelmed by the sheer amount of tasks we have to complete. By setting specific, measurable goals for each session of deep work, we give ourselves a roadmap to follow. This not only helps us stay focused, but also allows us to track our progress and celebrate small wins along the way. Having a clear sense of purpose also makes it easier to stay motivated, as we can see how our efforts are contributing to our larger goals. Setting intentions before diving into deep work provides us with the mental clarity and focus needed to engage fully in the task at hand. One of the most effective strategies for cultivating deep work is the use of time blocks. Time blocking involves setting aside a specific period of time for focused, uninterrupted work on a particular task or project. During this time, we commit to working solely on that task without checking emails, responding to messages, or engaging in any other distractions. Time blocks allow us to create a sense of urgency and structure around our work, making it easier to maintain focus and avoid procrastination. It's important to start with shorter time blocks and gradually increase the duration as we build our ability to concentrate. Over time, these focused work periods become more natural, and the ability to engage in deep work becomes a habit rather than a challenge. time blocking is a powerful tool for developing the discipline and focus necessary for sustained, high-quality work. Overcoming common barriers to focus. While cultivating focus and deep work is essential to achieving mastery, there are several common barriers that can impede our ability to concentrate. Understanding these barriers and developing strategies to overcome them is crucial to maintaining a consistent practice. One of the most common obstacles to focus is the constant presence of distractions. Whether it's the lure of social media, the ping of an incoming text message, or the desire to check our email, distractions are all around us, constantly pulling us away from our work. These interruptions not only break our concentration, but also deplete our mental energy, making it harder to re-engage in deep work once we've been distracted. To overcome this barrier, it's important to develop strategies for managing distractions. One of the most effective methods is the use of the single-tasking approach. Instead of multitasking, which leads to divided attention and diminished focus, we focus on completing one task at a time. This requires discipline and the ability to resist the temptation to check our phones or switch between tasks. Another strategy is the Pomodoro technique, which involves working in short, focused intervals, usually 25 minutes, followed by a brief break. This technique helps prevent burnout and keeps our mind fresh, allowing us to maintain focus over longer periods of time. Additionally, setting clear boundaries around technology use, such as turning off notifications, creating designated times for checking emails, and limiting time spent on social media, can help minimize distractions and create an environment conducive to deep work. Another significant barrier to focus is mental fatigue. Deep work is cognitively demanding, and over time, our brains can become tired from sustained concentration. This mental exhaustion can lead to a decrease in focus and productivity. To combat mental fatigue, it's essential to incorporate regular breaks into our work routine. Taking short breaks throughout the day allows our brains to recharge and refocus, improving our ability to concentrate when we return to our tasks. It's also important to prioritize rest and recovery outside of work. Adequate sleep, exercise, and relaxation are all essential for maintaining optimal cognitive function and ensuring that we have the mental energy necessary for deep work. A third barrier to focus is the tendency to procrastinate. Many people struggle with procrastination, particularly when faced with tasks that feel overwhelming or unpleasant. The anxiety that comes with starting a difficult task can lead to avoidance, which only exacerbates the problem. Overcoming procrastination requires a mindset shift, viewing the task not as a monumental hurdle, but as a series of small manageable steps. Breaking down large tasks into smaller chunks and focusing on one small part at a time can make the work feel less daunting. Additionally, creating a sense of accountability, either through self-imposed deadlines or by sharing goals with others, can provide the motivation needed to overcome procrastination and maintain focus. By addressing the root causes of procrastination and taking proactive steps to tackle tasks, we can stay on track and maintain the focus necessary for deep work. Mastering focus and deep work is essential for achieving success and mastery in any endeavor. In a world filled with distractions, developing the ability to concentrate on a single task is more important than ever. Focus allows us to enter a state of deep work where we can perform at our highest level and create our best work. Cultivating the habits that support deep work, such as eliminating distractions, setting clear goals, and using time-blocking techniques, enables us to engage in focused, uninterrupted practice. Overcoming common barriers to focus, such as distractions, mental fatigue, and procrastination, requires intentional strategies and a commitment to building a disciplined work routine. By mastering the art of focus and deep work, we unlock our full potential, enabling us to produce extraordinary results and achieve the mastery we seek. Chapter 7. Letting Go of the Outcome. The burden of results-oriented thinking. We live in a society that glorifies the end result. From the moment we begin our education to the structure of our professional lives, the emphasis is placed overwhelmingly on outcomes, grades, titles, awards, and financial milestones. This results-oriented culture permeates every corner of our thinking, and without realizing it, we begin to measure our self-worth and happiness by what we produce rather than how we engage with the process. This mindset often brings with it an enormous burden. We tie our peace of mind to achievements that may or may not materialize, placing our emotional well-being in the unpredictable hands of external validation. The danger here is profound. When we focus excessively on the outcome, we become prisoners to the future. Our attention is no longer grounded in the present moment. Instead, it is projected forward into a place that doesn't yet exist, filling our inner world with anxiety, self-doubt, and unnecessary pressure. The task at hand becomes merely a stepping stone to a reward, and in doing so, we miss the quiet richness of the journey itself. Our moments become transactions, each one surrendered to a future payoff, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, we disconnect from the intrinsic value of our efforts. This mindset also poisons our relationship with practice. When the goal overshadows the process, we treat practice as a necessary evil rather than a sacred act of self-growth. We rush through repetitions, cut corners, and seek shortcuts to speed up our arrival at the destination. Ironically, this desperation to improve often stalls our development. Without presence, we lose precision. Without care, we lose mastery. The greatest irony is that mastery itself only emerges through deep immersion in the process, not through obsession with the result. If we cannot learn to detach from the outcome, we will forever be haunted by a sense of insufficiency, no matter how many goals we reach. Each success will only temporarily mask the deeper sense of restlessness. The truth is, the finish line keeps moving. Today's victory becomes tomorrow's baseline, and the endless chase continues. Unless we consciously choose to value the process for its own sake, we are doomed to live in a perpetual state of discontent. Letting go of the outcome doesn't mean giving up ambition or lowering standards. Rather, it means shifting our focus from results we cannot fully control to the effort we can. This shift is profoundly liberating. It allows us to take full responsibility for what we do while releasing ourselves from the tyranny of needing things to turn out a certain way. It aligns us with reality rather than fantasy. When we practice this detachment, we find a new kind of freedom, the freedom to engage deeply, to learn patiently, and to find satisfaction in doing our best without needing proof from the outside world. And ironically, this shift in perspective tends to produce better results in the long run because our attention is fully invested in what matters most: the moment we're in, the task we're doing, and the growth unfolding from within. Reframing success and progress. To truly let go of the outcome, we need to reframe how we understand success and progress. These words have been hijacked by cultural narratives that equate them solely with measurable, visible achievements. But if we are to live with intention, clarity, and peace, we must redefine these terms in a way that honors both our inner experience and our outer efforts. Success at its core is not an endpoint. It is a relationship with our values, our growth, and our capacity to stay engaged in meaningful work. Real success lies in showing up consistently, in doing the work even when no one is watching, in choosing discipline over distraction and presence over perfection. It's not about how fast we get there, but how deeply we inhabit the journey. When we reframe success in this way, we reclaim our power from a world that wants to measure us by output and begin to measure ourselves by authenticity and integrity. This shift also allows us to appreciate the small, often invisible markers of progress that get overlooked in the rush toward big achievements. There is progress in showing up to practice even when we feel uninspired. There is growth in facing frustration and not walking away. There is triumph in choosing focus over distraction, even for just 5 extra minutes. These moments may not be celebrated publicly, but they are the invisible threads that weave mastery over time. When we start to notice and honor these subtle signs of development, we begin to anchor our sense of worth internally rather than externally. This inner anchoring is essential if we want to practice with peace and longevity. It protects us from the emotional roller coaster of highs and lows tied to unpredictable outcomes. It gives us resilience because we no longer feel like failures every time things don't go as planned. Instead, we see setbacks as part of the terrain, not as detours from it. Moreover, this reframing invites us to adopt a more compassionate and forgiving attitude toward ourselves. In the world of relentless productivity, we are often our own harshest critics. We measure our days by what we accomplished and berate ourselves for not doing more. But when we let go of rigid definitions of success and start valuing progress in all its forms, we begin to extend to ourselves the grace we need to thrive. We stop seeing rest as laziness, mistakes as inadequacies, and pauses as weakness. Instead, we recognize that every step, every stumble, and every recovery is part of the rhythm of growth. This mindset doesn't just support our performance, it supports our humanity. And that's a far more sustainable foundation on which to build our practice, our work, and our lives. The practice of non-attachment in daily life. Non-attachment is a concept often misunderstood. Many interpret it as apathy or indifference, as if to let go of outcomes means to stop caring. But nothing could be further from the truth. True non-attachment is not about withdrawing our care. It is about caring deeply while remaining unattached to specific results. It is the art of full engagement without dependency on how things unfold. In practice, this looks like giving our best to a project while accepting that the reception may be out of our control. It looks like pursuing a personal goal with enthusiasm while understanding that the journey itself holds the real reward. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing we are responsible for the quality of our effort, not the entirety of the result. And this practice, though subtle, changes everything. It allows us to act with integrity, to invest without fear, and to navigate uncertainty with grace. One way to integrate non-attachment into daily life is through mindfulness. By anchoring ourselves in the present moment, we create a buffer between our actions and our expectations. Mindfulness trains us to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them. When we feel the pull of outcome-oriented thinking, when anxiety about the future creeps in, or the need to prove ourselves grows loud, we can pause, breathe, and gently bring our focus back to the task before us. This is not a denial of our desires or ambitions, but a wise acknowledgement that clinging to them only adds suffering. With mindfulness, we learn to observe the urge for control without obeying it. We find steadiness in the now, which is the only place real life ever happens. Another powerful tool is journaling. Writing about our goals, efforts, and emotional experiences can help us untangle ourselves from the grip of expectations. It gives us space to process disappointment, to celebrate subtle progress, and to reflect on our deeper intentions. Over time, journaling becomes a mirror that reveals our patterns and helps us shift from reaction to response. It helps us ask better questions. Not, did I win? But, did I grow? Not, was I the best? But, was I honest in my effort? These are the questions that build character, that guide us towards sustainable fulfillment. They keep us rooted in what we can control and help us release what we cannot. Letting go of outcomes is a practice, not a one-time decision. It requires daily reminders, deliberate rituals, and a willingness to return to the present over and over again. But with each return, We loosen the grip of anxiety. We quiet the noise of comparison, and we discover a kind of joy that is independent of achievement. We begin to live and work not from a place of fear or pressure, but from presence and freedom. This shift doesn't make us passive. It makes us powerful. Because when we stop needing everything to go a certain way, we become unshakable. We no longer fear failure because we no longer tie our identity to the outcome. We no longer chase approval because we find peace in our effort. In this way, non-attachment is not a detachment from life. It is a deeper engagement with it, one that honors the process, the practice, and the person we become through it. Chapter 8. The Myth of Multitasking and the Power of Single Focus, the Illusion of Efficiency. We've all heard the praises of multitasking echoed in the modern workplace, in schools, and even in our homes. The myth that doing multiple things at once is a marker of intelligence or superior productivity has become embedded into our collective psyche. But if we pause long enough to examine our own experience, we begin to see the cracks in this assumption. Multitasking is, at best, a misnomer. What we're actually doing when we think we are multitasking is task switching, moving our attention rapidly between different activities. This illusion of efficiency comes at a steep cost. Each time we switch from one task to another, our brain incurs a cognitive switching penalty. Our attention becomes fractured, our working memory overloaded, and our overall output diminished in both quality and depth. What feels like a fast-paced productivity sprint is often an inefficient and mentally exhausting dance between distractions. Moreover, multitasking erodes the satisfaction we can derive from the work we do. There is a unique sense of fulfillment that arises when we become fully absorbed in a single task. What psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi described as a state of flow. This state, characterized by complete immersion and a deep sense of focus, is nearly impossible to enter when our attention is split across multiple channels. We may complete our tasks, yes, but the experience is shallow. There is no connection, no sense of craftsmanship, and certainly no joy. This is the quiet tragedy of multitasking. It robs us of the richness of our own effort. We feel scattered, distracted, and rushed, even when we are technically being productive. And in the long run, this scattered mode of operating doesn't just affect how we work, it affects how we live. We lose the ability to be present with ourselves, with others, and with the unfolding moment. We are there, but not really. Our body is engaged, but our mind is always somewhere else. Science has begun to confirm what many of us have felt intuitively. Multitasking is not the superpower it's marketed to be. Studies show that people who multitask frequently are actually worse at filtering irrelevant information, organizing their thoughts, and switching tasks efficiently. Even more striking is the impact on emotional regulation. Constant distraction weakens our ability to manage stress, remain patient, and stay grounded. Multitasking trains our brain to be reactive rather than responsive, and over time, this becomes a default mode of operating in all areas of life. In short, we become less capable of deliberate focused action and more prone to distraction, anxiety, and impatience. The cost is subtle but cumulative. It slowly steals from us the very presence we need to practice well, to live well, and to become who we are meant to be. The practice of single tasking. Single tasking is more than a productivity technique. It's a form of mindfulness. It's a way of reclaiming our attention from the pull of modern chaos and redirecting it toward what matters most. When we single task, we make a conscious choice to bring our full presence to one activity at a time. This choice, though simple in theory, is deeply countercultural. It goes against the grain of our fast-paced, always connected world. But within this simplicity lies a profound power. Single tasking aligns our actions with our intention. It allows us to engage more deeply, perform more effectively, and enjoy more fully. It is not just about getting things done. It is about doing things with care, integrity, and awareness. The practice begins with small acts of discipline. When you sit down to write an email, you write the email and nothing else. When you wash the dishes, you wash the dishes. Not while checking your phone or planning tomorrow's tasks, but simply washing the dishes with attention and care. These moments, seemingly mundane, become opportunities to strengthen the muscle of focus. Each time you resist the urge to split your attention, you reinforce the neural pathways associated with sustained concentration. Over time, your ability to focus grows, and with it, your capacity for deep work, emotional clarity, and genuine satisfaction. The practice becomes a kind of meditation, grounding you, centering you, and reminding you that life is made up of these small singular moments of attention. One powerful way to reinforce single tasking is to ritualize your environment. Our surroundings play a crucial role in shaping our focus. Decluttering your workspace, silencing notifications, and designating clear boundaries around your time can significantly enhance your ability to single task. These rituals act as physical cues that support your mental intention. They signal to your brain that it's time to focus, that this moment has a purpose. You begin to develop a rhythm, a sacred space for undivided attention. And within that space, something beautiful happens. You begin to enjoy the task itself. You notice details you would have otherwise missed. You feel a sense of progress that isn't tied to the end result, but to the quality of your engagement. This is where real fulfillment lies, not in doing more, but in doing one thing well. Focus as a lifestyle, not a technique. To truly benefit from the power of focus, we must embrace it not as a productivity hack, but as a lifestyle. This means weaving the values of attention, presence, and deliberateness into the fabric of our daily lives. It means honoring each task, no matter how small, as an opportunity to practice being fully alive. When we live this way, our actions become more intentional, our relationships more authentic, and our experiences more meaningful. We stop measuring our days by how much we've accomplished and start measuring them by how fully we've lived. This is a subtle but radical shift. It reorients our attention away from the noise of constant busyness and toward the depth of real living. Living with focus requires a commitment to slowing down, not in pace necessarily, but in awareness. We begin to question the automatic rush, the knee-jerk responses, and the compulsive checking of devices. We begin to observe our habits with curiosity and compassion. Why do I feel the need to check my phone every few minutes? What am I avoiding when I jump from one task to another? These questions are not meant to shame us, but to wake us up. They help us see that distraction is often a symptom, not a cause. Beneath the surface lies a deeper discomfort, a fear of missing out, a craving for stimulation, or an unease with stillness. By bringing these patterns into awareness, we can begin to work with them rather than be ruled by them. Focus as a lifestyle also means protecting our mental energy. Just as we are mindful of what we eat or how we spend our money, we must be mindful of where we place our attention. Attention is a limited resource. Every moment we give to distractions is a moment we cannot give to what truly matters. This means being selective with the media we consume, the conversations we engage in, and the commitments we take on. It means learning to say no, not out of selfishness, but out of respect for our time and our practice. It means designing our lives around depth rather than breadth. The goal is not to do everything, but to do fewer things with greater care. This is not a limitation. It is a liberation. It frees us from the burden of overcommitment and gives us the space to cultivate excellence in what we choose to pursue. At its heart, focus is an act of love. When we give our full attention to something, we are saying, "This matters." Whether it's a project, a conversation, or a quiet moment with ourselves, focus is how we show up fully. It's how we honor the present moment and all that it holds. It is both a discipline and a gift, a way of being that deepens our experience and connects us more fully to life. In a world that pulls us in 1,000 directions, choosing to focus is a radical act of presence. It's how we reclaim our attention, our time, and ultimately, our sense of self. It's how we move from doing to being, from distraction to devotion, from chaos to clarity. Chapter 9. Patience as a Pathway to Mastery. Understanding the roots of impatience. In our fast-paced world, impatience is more than a fleeting emotion. It has become a habitual state of being, embedded in the very way we move through our lives. We've become so accustomed to instant gratification that even the smallest delay can trigger a wave of restlessness. But where does this impatience truly come from? If we look beyond the surface, we begin to see that impatience arises not from the tasks themselves, but from our relationship to time and outcome. When we become overly attached to the end result, the process becomes a means to an end, rather than a meaningful experience in itself. We grow irritated not because something takes time, but because we've already mentally left the present moment and projected ourselves into the future. This gap between where we are and where we think we should be creates inner tension, and that tension manifests as impatience. More deeply, impatience often reflects an underlying fear. Fear that we are falling behind, that we won't reach our goals fast enough, or that we're somehow failing if progress isn't immediate. It's a subtle form of self-judgment, laced with anxiety and comparison. We measure ourselves against imagined timelines or the perceived progress of others, and when reality doesn't match the fantasy, frustration ensues. The irony, of course, is that impatience actually slows us down. It clouds our judgment, saps our energy, and pulls our attention away from the very actions that would move us forward. It's like trying to run with a weight strapped to our chest. Each step is heavier, more strained, and less effective. The more we resist the natural pace of learning and growth, the more we suffer. Recognizing the roots of impatience is the first step toward dissolving its hold on us. It's not about labeling impatience as bad or forcing ourselves to suppress it. Rather, it's about understanding it with compassion. When we notice impatience arising, we can pause and ask, what am I rushing toward? What am I trying to avoid in this moment? These questions invite us back into presence. They remind us that the real journey is not just about achieving something out there. It's about who we are becoming in the process. Patience, then, is not passive. It's an active stance of openness and trust. It's the willingness to meet each moment on its own terms, without resistance or demand. And in that space of acceptance, our mind relaxes, our energy stabilizes, and we become far more capable of skillful action. Cultivating patience through daily practice. Patience is not a trait that some people are born with and others are not. It is a skill, and like all skills, it can be practiced and strengthened over time. This practice doesn't require grand gestures or major life changes. It begins in the small, often overlooked moments of everyday life, when we're standing in a long line at the grocery store, stuck in traffic, or waiting for our computer to load. These are opportunities to train ourselves in patience. Rather than defaulting to irritation or distraction, we can use these moments to observe our mind, to soften our breath, and to return to the present. The situation may not change, but our relationship to it does. And that makes all the difference. One powerful way to cultivate patience is by setting an intention at the beginning of the day. Before diving into tasks, take a few moments to center yourself and commit to meeting the day with patience and presence. This simple act creates a mental anchor, a reference point you can return to when you feel yourself becoming agitated or rushed. Over time, This intentionality rewires your brain. You begin to notice impatience sooner, respond to it more skillfully, and recover your balance more quickly. What once felt like an automatic reaction becomes a conscious choice, and in that space of choice lies your freedom. Equally important is how we approach our practice, whether it's learning a new instrument, developing a craft, or deepening a meditation habit. True growth is rarely linear. There are plateaus, regressions, and moments of doubt. Impatience in these moments is a sign that we've lost touch with the essence of practice itself. We've made it about performance instead of presence, outcome instead of process. The remedy is to return to the fundamentals, to slow down, to notice the details, to take joy in the act of doing. When we let go of the need to rush, our practice begins to breathe. We make space for mistakes, for discovery, and for the quiet satisfaction that comes from simply showing up. Patience, then, becomes not just a virtue, but a source of resilience. It steadies us, sustains us, and allows us to continue even when progress feels invisible. The transformative power of patience in relationships and life. While patience is vital in our personal pursuits, its impact is perhaps most profound in our relationships. Whether with family, friends, colleagues, or strangers, patience allows us to meet others with empathy and grace. It softens the edges of judgment and creates room for genuine connection. So often, conflict arises not from what is said, but from the inability to hold space for another's experience. We rush to respond, to correct, or to defend, rather than listening with an open heart. Patience invites us to pause, to really hear what is being communicated, not just through words, but through tone, body language, and silence. This kind of listening is a gift. It says, "I see you. I'm willing to be here with you." And in that shared presence, healing and understanding can unfold. In romantic relationships, patience is the soil in which trust and intimacy grow. No two people evolve at the same pace, and challenges are inevitable. But when we bring patience to our interactions, we give each other the space to be imperfect, to grow, and to meet one another anew. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior or avoiding difficult conversations. Rather, it means engaging with compassion, with a recognition that transformation takes time for both ourselves and others. We stop expecting instant harmony and start investing in the slow, beautiful work of building something lasting. In doing so, we create partnerships rooted in depth, not just intensity. Beyond relationships, patience shapes our entire approach to life. It teaches us to trust the unfolding of our journey even when the path is unclear. There are seasons of rapid growth and seasons of quiet gestation. There are moments when everything aligns and others when nothing seems to move. In each of these phases, patience reminds us that value is not measured by speed, but by authenticity. It invites us to honor our timing, to stay present with the process, and to let life reveal itself in its own way. This perspective brings a profound sense of peace. We stop fighting the current and begin to flow with it. We begin to live not from urgency, but from alignment. And from that space, we can act with clarity, move with integrity, and rest with ease. In the end, patience is not about waiting. It is about being. It is about inhabiting each moment fully without the compulsive need to escape or accelerate. It is the practice of surrendering to the rhythm of life, trusting that each step, no matter how small, is part of something larger. And when we live this way, we discover a quiet strength within us, a strength that endures, that adapts, and that blossoms in its own perfect time. Chapter 10. Mastering the Art of Letting Go, the Freedom Found in Surrender. We are often taught that success is a matter of control, of being able to direct the course of our lives, mold outcomes to our desires, and shape our future with precision. But the truth is, life is rarely predictable. While we can set goals and work toward them with intention, there are countless factors beyond our control that influence the path we walk. Letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives is one of the most profound acts of personal freedom we can embrace. This act of surrender does not signify weakness, nor does it imply inaction. Rather, it signifies a deep understanding that we are part of a much larger process, one that unfolds organically, even if we can't always see the next step. Surrendering control is about relinquishing the rigid, anxiety-driven need to dictate how things unfold. It's about embracing the idea that our worth does not depend on our ability to predict the future or make everything go according to plan. The more we let go of the need to control every outcome, the more we open ourselves up to the beauty of the present moment. The paradox here is powerful. The more we release our grip on what is beyond our control, the more we gain a deeper sense of peace and trust in our own ability to navigate whatever comes. This shift in perspective is life-altering. It allows us to experience life with less stress, more ease, and a much greater sense of clarity. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, watching the waves rise and fall. No matter how hard you try, you cannot command the ocean to stop its motion or change its direction. You can, however, learn to swim with the waves, to embrace their rhythm, and to trust that the tide will eventually guide you safely to shore. Life is much the same. When we stop fighting against its natural flow, when we stop forcing our will on every situation, we begin to move with it rather than against it. Surrendering control becomes an act of grace, an acceptance that life, in all its complexity, is unfolding exactly as it should. In that surrender, we find freedom. Practicing mindfulness to cultivate presence, the foundation of mastery in any skill or aspect of life, lies in the ability to be fully present in the moment. Mindfulness is the practice of immersing ourselves in whatever we are doing, without distraction, judgment, or attachment to the outcome. It is the art of being completely engaged in the process, not simply working toward a goal. While the idea of mindfulness may seem simple, its application in our daily lives is far more profound and transformative than we might initially think. We often get caught up in the past or future, regretting past mistakes or anxiously anticipating what lies ahead. But real progress, true mastery, happens when we stop dividing ourselves between what has been and what could be, and instead focus all of our attention on the now. Think about a musician practicing an instrument. If they are constantly thinking about the performance they will give or the approval they hope to receive, they are not truly engaging with the music itself. Instead, they are merely chasing an external result. However, when they focus all of their energy on the present moment, on the feel of their fingers on the strings, the sound of each note, they become absorbed in the act of creating music. This moment-to-moment engagement with the process is what allows them to improve, and it is what makes the act of practicing joyful rather than burdensome. Mindfulness, when fully embraced, allows us to experience the process itself as rich and rewarding, independent of any external recognition. The power of mindfulness lies in its ability to bring us back to the present, to break the cycle of overthinking, and to cultivate a deep sense of awareness. It's not about getting everything right, but about showing up fully for whatever is in front of us. Whether we are working, spending time with loved ones, or simply breathing. Mindfulness trains us to become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. This awareness fosters a deeper connection to the moment, to ourselves, and to the world around us. It frees us from the tyranny of the past and the anxiety of the future, allowing us to experience life as it is, without resistance. Mindfulness is not a skill we achieve once and for all, but a practice we return to again and again. The more we practice mindfulness, the more natural it becomes to live in the moment, to find joy in the process, and to trust that we are exactly where we need to be. It's a way of being that allows us to accept and appreciate the present, rather than constantly looking for something more, something better. In the process, we find not only a greater sense of peace, but also an enhanced ability to perform, create, and live with purpose, trusting the unfolding path. Trusting the process is an essential part of any journey, whether we are learning a new skill, pursuing a personal goal, or simply navigating the ups and downs of life. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't happen as quickly as we'd like, or when obstacles arise that seem to derail our progress. However, true growth occurs in the spaces between the milestones, in the process itself. Trusting the unfolding path is about letting go of the need for immediate results and learning to appreciate the small incremental steps that lead us forward. When we are focused only on the end result, we miss the richness of the experience itself. Progress isn't always linear. Sometimes it feels slow, uncertain, or even like we're moving backward. But every step, whether forward or backward, is part of the greater process. The key is to stay present and trust that, over time, our efforts will compound and lead us where we need to go. We may not always see the immediate benefits of our practice, but when we trust the process, we acknowledge that growth takes time and that every moment spent practicing, every challenge faced, and every moment of uncertainty is contributing to our eventual success. Trusting the process also means relinquishing our attachment to a specific outcome. The beauty of this approach is that when we are no longer consumed by the desire for a particular result, we open ourselves to unexpected opportunities, learning experiences, and paths that we might otherwise have overlooked. Sometimes the journey takes us in directions we didn't foresee, and those directions can be just as valuable, if not more so, than the ones we initially set out to follow. By learning to trust the unfolding path, we allow ourselves the freedom to adapt, to learn, and to grow without the pressure of achieving a particular outcome by a certain time. In the end, the practice of letting go, of embracing mindfulness, and of trusting the unfolding process is what allows us to fully engage with life. These practices offer a deep sense of peace and contentment that comes from knowing that the path is as important as the destination. By trusting the process, we surrender to the natural flow of life, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be, doing exactly what we need to be doing. Chapter 11. Embracing the Journey of Mastery. The path to mastery is nonlinear. In every endeavor, mastery appears as a distant goal, one that many of us might feel is out of reach. We imagine mastery as a straight line, a clear path from point A to point B. However, the journey toward mastery is often anything but linear. It's filled with ebbs and flows, highs and lows, unexpected detours, and moments of doubt. This nonlinear nature of growth is where the essence of mastery truly lies. We may think that the most successful individuals have simply followed a linear path, working tirelessly and achieving their goals in one continuous, upward trajectory. However, when we examine their journeys closely, we find that the road to mastery is often filled with setbacks, failures, and moments of uncertainty. Every skill we learn, every area of our lives that we seek to improve, comes with its own unique set of challenges. It's easy to be disheartened when we don't see immediate results, or when our progress seems to stall. However, it is in these pauses that we often experience the most growth. The nonlinear path to mastery teaches us patience, resilience, and the importance of embracing both progress and setbacks as part of the process. Each moment, whether it feels like a step forward or backward, is an opportunity for growth. In fact, setbacks are often the most significant teachers we have. It's in the moments of struggle that we discover new depths of perseverance, creativity, and self-understanding. Take a moment to reflect on a skill or project you've worked on. Think about how you might have started with enthusiasm, only to encounter challenges that left you questioning your abilities. But as time passed, And with each effort, you gradually began to see improvement. The journey wasn't smooth, and the finish line was not always clearly visible, but the process itself was transforming. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a continual unfolding, a constant dance between effort and surrender. We must accept that mastery is not a final state, but an ongoing journey, where each step forward is built on the foundation of all the steps, both successful and challenging, that came before it. The role of patience in achieving mastery. Patience is a cornerstone of mastery. In our fast-paced world, where we are conditioned to expect instant gratification, the art of patiently working toward a goal often feels foreign. We live in an age of convenience, where information is available at the click of a button, and results are often expected to be immediate. This has created a mindset that anything worth achieving should come quickly and easily. Yet, the deeper we dive into the process of mastering a skill or craft, the more we realize that patience is not merely a virtue, but a necessity. Mastery is born from sustained, incremental effort over time. It is about consistency rather than speed. The challenge lies not in how quickly we can achieve something, but in our ability to continue despite delays, frustrations, and inevitable setbacks. When we are patient, we allow the process to unfold naturally. Instead of forcing outcomes, we embrace the rhythm of growth, which takes time. This patience is not passive. It is an active engagement with the process. It's about maintaining focus, continuing the practice, and trusting that, over time, our efforts will pay off. The longer we practice patience, the more we begin to understand that it is not about rushing to the end, but about savoring each moment along the way. We begin to appreciate the nuances of the process, the small improvements, the lessons learned through failures, and the quiet, steady progress that often goes unnoticed in the moment. A master craftsman does not rush through their work. They know that each stroke, each touch, and each moment of effort is part of the larger creation. They allow the work to take shape slowly, patiently, piece by piece. It is the same with mastery in any domain of life. When we allow ourselves to be patient, we release the pressure of needing immediate results, and we can fully immerse ourselves in the richness of the experience. Patience is the foundation of a peaceful mind, for when we are patient, we let go of anxiety about the future, and instead, we focus on the present moment. Fully engaged with the task at hand, the power of self-compassion in the mastery process. The journey toward mastery can often feel isolating and demanding. It's easy to become critical of ourselves when we encounter difficulties, or when we feel that our progress isn't as fast as we'd like. We might internalize our failures, seeing them as reflections of our inadequacies, rather than as part of the learning process. However, self-compassion is a powerful antidote to the harsh self-judgment that can often accompany the pursuit of mastery. Self-compassion allows us to approach our challenges with kindness and understanding, instead of harsh criticism and frustration. When we practice self-compassion, we acknowledge that we are human. We recognize that making mistakes is a natural part of growth. Instead of beating ourselves up for setbacks, we can treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a friend in a similar situation. This self-compassion creates a safe space where we can freely explore, take risks, and fail without the fear of judgment. It allows us to embrace imperfection as part of the process of becoming better. In the absence of self-criticism, we are more likely to push through our doubts and continue our practice, knowing that failure is not final, but merely a stepping stone on the path to mastery. Moreover, self-compassion helps us maintain a healthy relationship with our efforts. It encourages us to appreciate the work we put in, without tying our self-worth solely to our achievements. We begin to see that the effort itself is valuable, and that growth is measured not by the external outcome, but by the internal development that occurs in the process. Mastery is not about perfection. It is about continuous improvement, and self-compassion provides the emotional resilience we need to continue when times get tough. Self-compassion is a crucial part of the long-term sustainability of any practice. Without it, we risk burnout, frustration, and a deep sense of inadequacy. With it, we cultivate a nurturing environment for growth, one that supports our well-being and encourages us to continue even when the path seems difficult or unclear. Through self-compassion, we come to understand that mastery is not just about becoming better at something, but about becoming better at being ourselves, kind, resilient, and committed to the journey regardless of how long it takes or how many challenges we face along the way. Chapter 12. The Transformative Power of Focus. Harnessing. Focus to unlock potential. Focus is a powerful tool in the journey of mastery. In a world full of distractions, the ability to concentrate deeply on a task is becoming increasingly rare. Yet it remains one of the most important skills we can cultivate. The power of focus lies in its ability to direct all of our mental energy toward a singular goal, cutting through the noise of daily life and honing our efforts toward something meaningful. When we focus on a task, we create a space for ourselves where distractions are minimized and our productivity reaches new heights. Focus is not simply about concentrating on one thing. It is about immersing ourselves completely in the process, allowing us to engage in deep work that produces results far beyond what we could achieve when we are distracted. At its core, focus is about clarity. It's about deciding, with intention, what is most important and dedicating ourselves to it fully. In the context of mastery, this means that every time we commit ourselves to a task, we approach it with the mindset that it deserves our undivided attention. This is often easier said than done, especially in a world that bombards us with constant stimuli. However, when we learn to cultivate focus, we unlock our true potential. The clarity that focus brings enables us to work smarter, not harder. It eliminates unnecessary steps, cuts through confusion, and directs our energy to where it is most effective. Focus allows us to break down a seemingly insurmountable task into manageable steps, making it possible to achieve great things. In a focused state, time itself seems to stretch. The hours slip away unnoticed as we lose ourselves in the task at hand. This experience, often referred to as flow, is where our best work emerges. When we are in flow, we are not only working at our peak capacity, but we are also enjoying the process. It's a place where effort and ease merge, where the boundary between ourselves and the task dissolves, and we feel completely at one with what we are doing. It is in this state that mastery begins to form, not because we are pushing ourselves harder, but because we are fully present and engaged with the work. The science behind focus and attention focus isn't just a concept, it is a biological process rooted in how our brain operates. The human brain is an extraordinary organ, capable of astonishing feats of concentration and attention. However, it is also incredibly susceptible to distractions. Studies have shown that, in today's world, our attention span is shortening. We are constantly switching between tasks, multitasking, and allowing interruptions to pull us away from our work. This fragmented approach to tasks can be detrimental to both the quality of our output and our sense of satisfaction. The science behind focus reveals that multitasking is actually a myth. The brain cannot focus on multiple things at once. Instead, what we perceive as multitasking is simply rapid switching between tasks, which leads to a decrease in performance, mental fatigue, and a sense of being overwhelmed. The ability to sustain focus is linked to a process known as cognitive control, the mental process of directing attention, filtering out distractions, and maintaining concentration on a task. Research in neuroscience has shown that the more we practice sustained focus, the stronger our cognitive control becomes. This is why mastery takes time. It is not simply about learning a skill. It is about training our brains to stay focused, to filter out the noise, and to engage deeply with a task. The more we practice focus, the easier it becomes to stay immersed in our work, even in the face of distractions. One key aspect of focus is the concept of cognitive load, the mental effort required to process information. When we overload ourselves with too many tasks or too much information, our cognitive load increases, making it harder to focus and perform at our best. To combat this, we must learn to manage our cognitive load effectively. This means simplifying tasks, breaking them down into smaller steps, and avoiding overloading our brain with unnecessary information. When we approach tasks with clarity and intention, we reduce cognitive load, allowing us to focus with greater intensity and for longer periods. This makes it possible to achieve mastery by working smarter, not harder. Practical strategies for cultivating focus. Cultivating focus is not something that happens overnight. It requires consistent practice and intentional effort. Fortunately, there are practical strategies that can help us improve our focus and strengthen our ability to stay engaged in our work. The first step is to create an environment that supports concentration. In a world filled with distractions, it is essential to carve out spaces where we can work without interruption. This might mean turning off notifications on our devices, setting aside specific times for deep work, or creating a physical space that is conducive to focus. By removing distractions, we give ourselves the space to dive deep into our tasks without being pulled away by external stimuli. Another effective strategy for cultivating focus is the use of time management techniques, such as the Pomodoro technique. This method involves working in focused bursts of 25 minutes, followed by a short break. After 4 cycles, you take a longer break. This structure allows for intense focus during work periods, while also giving your brain the rest it needs to stay sharp. Time management techniques like this are effective because they respect the natural rhythms of our attention span. The brain is not designed for hours of continuous focus, so giving it regular breaks helps maintain energy and mental clarity throughout the day. A third strategy is mindfulness meditation. Research has shown that practicing mindfulness can significantly improve our ability to focus. Mindfulness trains the brain to stay present, to notice when our attention has wandered, and to gently bring it back to the task at hand. By practicing mindfulness, we become more aware of the distractions that pull us away from our work, and we learn how to redirect our attention with greater ease. Mindfulness is also an excellent tool for managing stress, as it helps us stay grounded in the present moment, rather than becoming overwhelmed by future concerns or past regrets. Over time, mindfulness meditation can enhance our ability to focus for longer periods and with greater intensity. The final strategy for cultivating focus is to nurture a growth mindset. When we view challenges as opportunities for growth, we are more likely to stay engaged in the process, even when it becomes difficult. A growth mindset allows us to embrace setbacks as part of the learning journey, rather than seeing them as signs of failure. This shift in perspective can help us maintain focus, even when progress is slow, and it encourages us to stay committed to the long-term process of mastery. Chapter 13. The Deep Practice of Patience. Understanding. Patience as a skill. Patience is often viewed as a passive virtue, something that is required when we have no other choice but to wait. However, true patience is far from passive. It is an active, intentional skill that is essential to mastery and personal growth. When we think of patience, we might picture someone calmly waiting in a lines or enduring a moment of inconvenience without complaint. But patience, in the context of mastery, goes much deeper. It is the ability to maintain composure and persistence in the face of difficulty, delay, or frustration. It is the willingness to continue putting in effort, even when results are not immediately visible or when obstacles seem insurmountable. Mastery is a slow, deliberate process, one that unfolds over time rather than instantaneously. Patience is the tool that allows us to remain committed to the process, even when it feels like progress is not being made. It's not just about waiting for results. It's about showing up day after day with the understanding that mastery is a journey, not a destination. In this sense, patience requires a mindset that embraces the long-term view. It's about trusting that each step, no matter how small, is a part of the larger picture, and that every moment of effort contributes to the eventual success. Patience is not just about enduring. It is about engaging with the process fully, despite the inevitable challenges and setbacks. When we practice patience, we learn to quiet the inner voices of doubt and impatience that often arise when we feel like we're not moving fast enough. We understand that true growth doesn't happen overnight. It is the result of consistent, focused effort over time. In many ways, patience is the antidote to the modern obsession with instant gratification. In a world where we are accustomed to quick results and immediate rewards, patience allows us to step back and understand the value of gradual progress. It reminds us that success is built over time, through incremental improvements, and that the fruits of our labor are often sweeter when we allow ourselves the space to grow without rushing the process. Patience in the face of frustration. One of the greatest challenges to cultivating patience is frustration. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to become frustrated when things don't go according to plan. We might set a goal and expect quick results, only to be met with delays, setbacks, or unexpected obstacles. Frustration is a natural response to this type of adversity, but it is also one of the most powerful forces that can derail our progress. When we feel frustrated, we often want to abandon the task or take shortcuts to speed up the process. However, this is where patience becomes particularly important. It teaches us to endure through frustration and to persist even when things aren't going the way we want them to. Frustration often arises when we feel that our efforts are not being rewarded in a timely manner. This is particularly true in the context of learning and mastery. As we develop new skills, there will inevitably be moments when we hit a wall, when progress slows or seems to stop altogether. It is in these moments that patience becomes crucial. Rather than giving in to the urge to quit or to rush through the process, patience allows us to stay the course, to keep practicing and refining, knowing that progress will come with time. By accepting frustration as part of the journey, we can transform it into an opportunity for growth rather than a reason to give up. Patience in the face of frustration also teaches us to manage our expectations. Often, we become frustrated not because the process is inherently difficult, but because we have unrealistic expectations about how quickly we should be progressing. We live in a society that values speed, instant results, and rapid achievement, and this can distort our perception of what is reasonable. Patience helps us to reset our expectations, to acknowledge that mastery takes time, and that setbacks are a normal part of the process. It encourages us to focus on the effort rather than the outcome, and to recognize that every moment of practice, no matter how challenging, is a step toward the greater mastery. Patience as a tool for long-term success. The role of patience extends far beyond the immediate task at hand. In the larger context of personal growth and mastery, patience serves as a tool for long-term success. It is easy to be impatient in the early stages of learning something new. When we start a new venture, whether it's learning a new language, starting a business, or developing a new skill, we often want to see quick results. However, this desire for instant gratification can lead us to overlook the small, incremental steps that are necessary for lasting success. Patience helps us to appreciate the journey rather than fixating on the destination. In the pursuit of mastery, patience is not only about enduring the difficult moments, it is also about maintaining a long-term perspective on the value of the process. Success is rarely a straight line, and setbacks, challenges, and failures are an inevitable part of the journey. Patience teaches us to embrace these moments as part of the path, rather than as obstacles that prevent us from achieving our goals. When we approach our work with patience, we are more likely to stay committed to the process, even when the road gets tough. This long-term mindset is essential for success in any endeavor, as it helps us to remain focused on the bigger picture, even in the face of challenges. Patience also teaches us the importance of consistency. Mastery is not about isolated moments of brilliance or sudden breakthroughs. It is about the consistent application of effort over time. It is through steady, patient practice that we build the skills, knowledge, and resilience needed for success. Without patience, it is easy to give up before we have the chance to see the results of our hard work. Patience allows us to trust that with time, our efforts will pay off, and that every step, no matter how small, is leading us closer to our goals. In many ways, patience is the cornerstone of perseverance. It is the quality that allows us to keep going, even when things aren't going our way. Patience is not about waiting passively. It is about engaging in the process with an unwavering belief that progress will come, even if it takes longer than expected. It is this kind of patience that helps us to weather the storms of frustration and adversity, and to emerge stronger and more capable on the other side. Chapter 14. The Power of Consistency in Mastery. Understanding consistency and its role in long-term success. Consistency is a cornerstone of any meaningful achievement. When we embark on the journey of learning or self-improvement, we often expect quick results. But the truth is, real progress comes slowly, steadily, and methodically. This is where consistency plays its crucial role. It is the practice of showing up, day in and day out, doing the work, regardless of how small or insignificant the task might feel at the time. Consistency is the silent force that drives us forward, even when motivation wanes, and when the temptation to abandon our goals seems strong. It's easy to start with enthusiasm, but the real challenge lies in maintaining that enthusiasm over the long haul. It is this sustained effort that allows us to make real, lasting progress. In the context of mastery, consistency isn't just about performing a task every day. It is about committing to the process, even when it feels repetitive or when results are not immediately visible. Mastery is built on the foundation of small, incremental improvements that accumulate over time. The compound effect of consistent practice is what separates those who achieve mastery from those who fall short. It's easy to get caught up in the allure of quick fixes or shortcuts, but the reality is that the path to true mastery requires a long-term commitment to consistent effort, even when the path seems unclear or the results are not immediate. The act of doing something consistently, even when the immediate rewards are not visible, reinforces the mindset of patience and perseverance that is necessary for deep, long-term growth. Consistency also involves an element of discipline. It is not always easy to stick with a task, especially when we face distractions or when our initial excitement fades. However, consistency helps us build the discipline necessary to push through these moments of resistance. The discipline of consistent practice allows us to keep improving, regardless of external factors, and it fosters the kind of mental toughness that is essential for success in any endeavor. When we make consistency a habit, it becomes easier to navigate the challenges that inevitably arise because we are grounded in the understanding that progress is a gradual, continuous process, not a series of dramatic leaps forward. Building a consistent practice through rituals. While consistency is essential for progress, it is equally important to recognize that consistency is most effective when it is grounded in intentional rituals. A ritual is a set of practices or habits that we perform regularly and consistently, often as part of a larger goal. Rituals are important because they create structure and routine in our daily lives, providing us with a framework to ensure that we stay on track with our goals. When we engage in rituals, we eliminate the need to rely solely on willpower or motivation, both of which can fluctuate from day to day. Instead, rituals become automatic behaviors that we perform without overthinking, which frees up our mental energy for other tasks. For example, if our goal is to learn a new language, we might establish a ritual of practicing for 30 minutes every morning without fail. This practice becomes a habit, something we do without question, and as a result, we don't have to rely on motivation to get us through. The ritual itself becomes the foundation of our consistency, providing structure to our learning process. Over time, this consistency adds up to significant progress, even though each individual session might feel like a small step forward. This is the power of rituals. They allow us to make steady progress without relying on fleeting bursts of inspiration or motivation. Rituals also serve a deeper psychological function. They create a sense of commitment, and they foster a mindset of discipline and responsibility. When we make something a ritual, it becomes part of our identity. We stop seeing it as something optional or dependent on our mood, and we begin to view it as an integral part of who we are and what we do. This shift in perspective is essential for mastering any skill or achieving any long-term goal. Rituals help us integrate our efforts into our daily lives, making consistency not just something we strive for, but something we embody on a regular basis. The beauty of rituals is that they are customizable to fit our needs. They can be as simple as a 5-minute warm-up before practicing an instrument, or as elaborate as a detailed morning routine designed to set the tone for the entire day. The key is that these rituals are consistent and intentional. They help us stay on course even when motivation dips or distractions arise. Over time, rituals help us build a sense of momentum, and they make it easier to continue pushing forward toward our goals, no matter what obstacles we may encounter. Overcoming challenges to consistency. While consistency is a powerful tool for success, it is not without its challenges. One of the most significant obstacles to maintaining consistency is the temptation to quit when progress seems slow or when setbacks occur. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if we're not seeing immediate results, our efforts are in vain. This kind of thinking can be incredibly discouraging and can lead to a cycle of starting and stopping without ever gaining real momentum. The key to overcoming this challenge is recognizing that progress is rarely linear. There will be periods of stagnation, moments when it feels like we're not getting anywhere, but these moments are simply part of the process. When we face challenges to consistency, it's important to remind ourselves that mastery takes time and that it's normal for progress to feel slow at times. Consistency is not about achieving perfection or seeing immediate results. It's about committing to the process and showing up every day, even when the results are not obvious. There will always be days when motivation is low or when we face unexpected distractions, but these are the moments when our commitment to consistency is truly tested. By pushing through these challenges, we not only continue to make progress, but we also build resilience and mental fortitude, which are crucial components of long-term success. Another challenge to consistency is the tendency to prioritize short-term rewards over long-term goals. In a world that values instant gratification, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of immediate results. However, true mastery requires a shift in mindset, a focus on long-term gains rather than instant rewards. When we practice consistency, we are investing in our future success, even if we don't see the payoff right away. The key is to maintain a broader perspective and to trust that the cumulative effects of our consistent efforts will eventually lead to significant growth and achievement. The final challenge to consistency is burnout. It's possible to become overwhelmed by the sheer volume of work or to feel like we're not making any progress, no matter how hard we try. In these moments, it's important to take a step back and reassess our approach. Consistency doesn't mean pushing ourselves to the point of exhaustion. It means finding a sustainable rhythm that we can maintain over the long term. By pacing ourselves and focusing on small, manageable tasks, we can maintain consistency without burning out. Chapter 14. The Journey of Mastery, Embracing the Practice Mindset. The essence of mastery. It's a lifelong journey. In the pursuit of mastery, we are often driven by the desire for perfection, a longing to reach the summit of our craft, our profession, or our personal growth. But true mastery is not about achieving an ultimate state of perfection, nor is it about a final destination. It is a journey, a process of continuous learning, growing, and evolving. The path of mastery demands patience, resilience, and above all, a deep commitment to the ongoing process. The challenge lies not in reaching some mythical point of arrival, but in embracing the journey itself, understanding that the true reward lies in the daily practice, the incremental improvements, and the lessons learned along the way. When we first begin our journey toward mastery, it's easy to get caught up in the idea of reaching the end goal, the completion of the skill, the accomplishment of the objective. However, as we grow, we begin to realize that mastery is a fluid, ever-evolving process. Each milestone reached merely opens the door to new challenges and deeper levels of understanding. The pursuit of mastery is, in essence, the pursuit of growth. It is about pushing ourselves beyond what we know today, continually expanding the limits of our abilities. The sooner we can embrace this, the sooner we can let go of unrealistic expectations and start focusing on the joy and satisfaction that come with continuous improvement. This mindset shift from outcome-focused thinking to process-focused thinking is transformative. When we begin to see mastery as a lifelong journey rather than a finite goal, we free ourselves from the pressure of achieving perfection. We can begin to appreciate the incremental progress we make each day and understand that mistakes and setbacks are not failures, but essential parts of the journey. In the practice mindset, there is no end. There is only evolution, growth, and deepening expertise. The beauty of this perspective is that it enables us to stay engaged and passionate, even when the road ahead feels long or difficult. The process itself becomes the reward. The importance of embracing mastery as an ongoing journey is best illustrated through examples in various domains. Take musicians, for example. Even the most accomplished pianists or violinists, after decades of performing and recording, continue to practice daily. They don't stop because they've made it, or because they've perfected their art. Instead, they practice because mastery requires perpetual refinement, and because each session brings them closer to a deeper understanding of their instrument and their craft. The same is true for athletes, writers, chefs, and anyone who dedicates themselves to continual improvement. Mastery is not about completion, but about the never-ending pursuit of excellence, with each step revealing new layers of depth and potential. The practice mindset, thriving in the process, not just the outcome. One of the greatest shifts we can make in the pursuit of mastery is to adopt what we call the practice mindset. This mindset allows us to fully immerse ourselves in the process of learning and improving without being fixated on the end result. It encourages us to engage with our craft, our work, or our personal growth in a way that emphasizes the joy of learning rather than the pressure of achieving perfection. The practice mindset is a deeply enriching approach to life. It acknowledges that mastery is not just about being the best, but about enjoying the experience of growth and becoming a better version of ourselves every day. When we adopt a practice mindset, we stop measuring our progress solely by the immediate results or tangible outcomes we achieve. Instead, we learn to appreciate the small victories, the moments of insight, the breakthroughs in understanding, and even the mistakes that lead to greater clarity. We begin to see each practice session as an opportunity to grow, to refine our skills, and to deepen our connection with the task at hand. This mindset helps us shift from a goal-oriented perspective to one that values the experience of the process itself. The practice mindset also allows us to be more compassionate with ourselves. In the past, we may have been hard on ourselves when we didn't achieve our desired outcome immediately, or when we made mistakes. But by adopting the practice mindset, we recognize that errors are part of the journey and provide invaluable feedback. Every mistake becomes an opportunity for learning, growth, and adjustment. We become more open to experimenting, trying new techniques, and stepping outside our comfort zones without fear of failure. The practice mindset transforms how we relate to our work and ourselves. It nurtures curiosity, resilience, and a sense of joy that sustains us over time. This mindset shift can be incredibly liberating, especially in the face of challenges or setbacks. Rather than getting discouraged when progress seems slow or when things don't go as planned, we see each moment as part of the grand, ongoing process of growth. We no longer see failure as a sign of inadequacy, but as a necessary part of the journey. The practice mindset encourages us to keep showing up, to keep doing the work, and to keep moving forward, even when the rewards seem distant. It teaches us to find satisfaction in the act of becoming, rather than just in the act of achieving. Staying committed, the role of consistency and patience. In the final stages of our journey toward mastery, perhaps the most critical qualities to cultivate are consistency and patience. These two virtues are the backbone of sustained effort and progress. As we continue to build our skills, learn new things, and strive for personal growth, it's easy to lose motivation, especially when it feels like results are not immediately visible. But the reality is that true mastery requires time, and patience is essential for weathering the periods of stagnation that are an inevitable part of the process. This is where consistency comes in. Consistency keeps us grounded, keeps us showing up, even when progress feels elusive. One of the most important things to understand about consistency is that it doesn't require perfection. In fact, it's not about doing something perfectly every time, but about showing up repeatedly. It's about building a habit, creating a routine that integrates the practice into our daily lives. Consistency is what keeps the momentum going, even when enthusiasm wanes. And it's this consistent effort over time that eventually leads to mastery. There may be days when we feel like we're not improving, or when we want to quit, but the key is to keep showing up, to keep doing the work, and to trust that the small efforts will compound over time. Patience, on the other hand, is the ability to remain calm and persistent, even when progress is slow. It is about understanding that mastery cannot be rushed, and that we must be willing to put in the time and effort required to reach our goals. Patience allows us to navigate the frustration that often accompanies the learning process. Without patience, we risk becoming discouraged, giving up too soon, or chasing after shortcuts that ultimately hinder our progress. Patience teaches us to trust the process, to respect the time required for growth, and to recognize that mastery is not about instant results, but about the long, gradual process of continuous improvement. When we combine consistency and patience, we develop the resilience to overcome obstacles and to stay committed to our goals.